Hey guys, it's Jake with A.G. Russell Knives, and today I have for you the A.G. Russell Medium Gunstock. The Medium Gunstock is the civilian dress version of the 2008 Texas Ranger, and it comes in 3 different handle materials instead of the black that the Texas Ranger comes in. And also replacing the emblem, it's now a Federal Shield emblem. So we have yellow Delrin. This is the easiest to find in a forest. And the other 2 are brown, so be very careful where you put those down on the ground, because they're going to be a lot harder to find than this one. Classic in its look. It is a very bright, very vibrant yellow. It's difficult to tell from the camera because I have several bright lights on it, but it's a brighter yellow than this. It's really hard to get the exact coloration on it, but it's a nice bright yellow. Next we have a brown Rucarda. You can see the cross hatching on there. So we have layers of linen mixed with resin, making for a very, very hard, very durable handle material. If I get the light on there, see, I haven't even scratched it. Very durable material. This will last decades, and if you treat it right, you can pass this down to grandsons, possibly even further. This material will just go on and on and on. And last but not least, we have Cocobolo. This is a nice hardwood found in Mexico, New Mexico, Arizona. That whole area. It's a very, very dense wood. It doesn't require stabilizing like other woods do. So other woods you might have to soak it in resin to make it tough and durable enough. This one is tough and durable enough all on its own, just in its natural state. You'll go through your sandpaper real quick when you're trying to form these scales on them because they're really dense. This one's a little bit darker than usual. They do tend to be on the dark wood side. I'd say that this one is even darker than usual for that. We have a smaller version, the 3 5/8 inch. Get the camera to focus here. 3 5/8 inch gun stock, because this one was a little big. People asked for a smaller one to fit in their pockets. And you can see on the Cocobolo on this one, it's a brighter, kind of a redder color to it. All Cocobolo will have some level of red to it, but this one's even redder than this one. This one's kind of more of a dark brown reddish, and this is a reddish brown. So you'll get some variation on the Cocobolos. And then if you wanted a smaller version, we have it. I'll give a link to my review in the description, because I've already reviewed this one. Very similar knives though. Except this one's much bigger. It's got a nice full handful, with the handle coming out on both sides of my larger than average hands. Now that I've introduced the blade, let me talk about some of its features. It has all the classic A.G. Russell features. We have full 400 series stainless steel bolsters, liners, all these extra hardware bits. So nice stainless steel that's not going to junk out on you. Nice wide platforms if you needed to get engraving done. Federal Shield bolster. So these make for some great groomsmen gifts. Other gifts, gift to your boss, gift to your employees, grandpa or dad. On the inside, we're fully cleaned out. One of AG's pet peeves is when a factory knife is just dirty and gross on the inside. Fully cleaned out on the inside. We have the stopper pin there and the hump here. So the stopper pin makes it so we can have a shorter tang and a much wider blade. And you can shut the blade, and the stopper pin will stop the blade edge before it hits the hump. So it's protecting the blade edge and allowing for a much wider blade. If you ever see a blade with a chunk just right in the middle, just a little chip right at the edge, it probably doesn't have a stopper pin, or it wasn't ground deep enough to keep it from hitting the hump of the blade, and that's what's damaging the blade there. So keep an eye out for damage in the middle of a blade of a non-AG Russell knife. We have a handsome brown leather fob lanyard right here, allowing for easy access from the pocket. Just pulls right out. We also have available separately for these is a nice brown leather belt pouch, and it'll slip nice into that belt pouch, and you can pull it right out with the lanyard here. On these blades we have a deep nail nick, deep thumbnail nick, and the blade is only polished in a downward fashion, allowing for a sharp ridge at the top of this nail nick, and that allows you to open the blade either hand with one hand, just using your thumb as you would for a normal thumb bolt. Ambidextrous, I love that. It is of course a lockback. You can see the lock bar going along here. The Gunstock uses a coil spring for the lockback, so there's a small spring. Let me give you a picture. Looks like that. The coil spring is a little more expensive, but it saves space, allowing for a larger blade. It is a much smoother action. So unlocking it is much smoother than it would be for some of the other styles of springs. And the coil spring has a longer lifespan. So a nice long lifespan on the coil spring. If you want to learn more about different types of lockback springs, I'll give you a link to an article we posted, and you can learn a lot about that. Very interesting stuff. Nice centering down there. Excellent fit and finish. Can't feel any transition with my thumbnail either direction. Well, you can barely feel it, but it's not catching. Excellent fit and finish. Very pretty. Just the lightest. It's not too sharp here. It is a little bit sharper than, because of such an excellent transition, that is slightly sharper than I typically like it. I might put just like the slightest micro bevel there, so that way when you're reaching your hand, you don't scrape it. It's not too bad. I definitely felt a much worse. But keep your eye open for that. I love the Federal Shield. It looks great. You can see on the blade here, we have a clip point blade, and it is fully flat ground. I'm a big fan of flat grinds because flat grinds means that it doesn't have a secondary bevel, so it's just one bevel all the way down right up till the edge bevel. That is your first bevel. It doesn't have a secondary, primary bevel, just the edge bevel, with the exception of the clip part. But it's all flat, and that is important when it's passing through cutting material, because when you're cutting something and it has to pass all the way through, when it gets thick, it kind of tears a little bit on the bigger blades. So like when it gets to right here, then it gets too thick for the materials passing all the way through, and it kind of gets stuck and tears a bit. So flat grinds are nice because they can go all the way through something. If you just have a nice thick blade with a primary bevel and then it goes down and then it has the edge bevel, that one's not as good as passing through materials. It is a stronger blade because it typically has more steel to it, so it's more like a fighter blade, and it's great for cuts and slashes and maybe stabs because it's really reinforced on the sides. But it's not practical for an EDC. It doesn't pass through materials as nicely. I have never been in a knife fight and don't really plan to, so typically when I'm getting knives, I much prefer a full flat grind. So this one is as I said, a clip point blade. It goes down and then it clips down right there. It has a recurved edge. And the edge recurve, you can think of it as a large serration. So anything that a serrated knife is good at, cutting twine, rope, any of that, and a recurve blade is also good at that because it presents an ever-changing curve to the material being cut, as you saw with the paper there. Now it's a little bit harder to sharpen a recurve blade normally. It's difficult to do it on a stone flat because of the curve to it. But it's much simpler to sharpen compared to a serrated blade, because the serrated blade you need to have a little rod that's tapered and goes all the way down, and then you got to go down each one individually, and it's kind of a hassle. With the recurve blade, you just get a rodded sharpening device, and you just go down each side. I could show you if I got these out of the way. It's kind of a poor camera angle. So then I just hold this straight up and down, and the rod follows the curve of the blade, and it just changes with the blade. And so then you have full sharpening of the recurved edge. So, as a typical rule, I tend to prefer the recurved blades over the serrated blades, just in terms of sharpening. Plus, they look really neat. I do have preferences on my recurve blades. If I get it to focus, there we go. So this one has just about the right amount of recurve, and maybe I go a little more aggressive, but I definitely wouldn't go any shallower than this. If it was more shallow than this, to me, it's getting too close to a straight line, and at that point, you might as well just have a regular blade and be able to sharpen it both on rods and a sharpening stone. So this is my right amount, maybe more aggressive on a special blade. But then if you go more aggressive, you're eating into your blade and you get less sharpens out of it. So right about here is my level. I wouldn't go less on different blades as far as the recurve angle. And let's show you some of these dimensions. Blade length, we're looking at 3 3/8 inches long. Closed handle length, we are at 4 1/4, maybe just shy, 4 3/16. And let me grab my caliper. So then, blade stock, we're at 0.15 inches or 3.8 millimeters, 3.9. In width, we're coming in at 24 millimeters, or just shy of an inch, 0.94 inches. Width of the handle, 0.77, lengthening out here to 0.89, 0.88, or in millimeters, 22.5. And width, or thickness, 13 millimeters. A little over half an inch, 0.51. So nice big blade for a nice handle. One-handed opening. Feels great in the hand. Got the, come on there. There we go. Got the handle there. So it's got a nice grip to it. You can feel it. Has nice control over the whole blade. So I can do a lot of controlled things. Even though it's such a big blade, I have excellent resting positions for a great sturdy grip. Blade steel, we're at HCR 15 MOV on this one. A little bit higher on the chromium content. Nice, excellent, sharp blade. We get great reviews on our heat treatment for our knives. Pretty decently easy to sharpen. And we're really happy with the edge retention. It holds out very well. We get great reviews on it. Made by our best factory in China. China's a big place. You get what you pay for, and we pay a lot for these. Very, very well done. Excellent fit and finish. We're really, really happy with the quality we get out of these. Really happy with our quality. I don't think I mentioned it is called the Gunstock because it has the Gunstock shaped handle. You can see how it kind of resembles a Gunstock. Well, there you have it, guys. Thanks for watching. Always appreciated when you guys tune in. Have a wonderful day and stay sharp.